Good morning, students. I hope all of you are well and sound. Let's begin today's lesson. So we are still on chapter 13, that is Manifest Destiny. And today, inshallah, we will cover lesson 3, that is the California Gold Rush. And you will find this lesson on page 438 in your American History book. So before we begin, in this lesson, first we will learn about that how the discovery of gold in California in 1848 led to the population increase and statehood. And before we begin the lesson, there are a few important terms and names which we should understand. So first one is the 49er. Here you will see 49er. 49er is a person who went to California to find gold in 1849. But in other simple words, you can say like 49er, the people who left their homes in search of gold were later referred to as 49ers, and simply because the year was 1849. Here you see the 18. It was referred simply because the year was 1849, although the exact numbers are unknown, but still it is believed that around 300,000 people migrated to California during the gold rush. Okay, so next is Californios. So who were Californios? Californios were the settlers of Spanish or Mexican descent who populated California. Then we have here. Let me see. Okay, Next one is Mariano Villio. He was a prosperous Californian who lost a lot of property after American settlement. Then we have James Marshall. He was a carpenter who discovered gold in California in 1848. And the last one is the term California Gold Rush. And this term refers to a migration of thousands of settlers to California in search of gold. So now we are going to see that what led to the rapid settlement in California. The rush for gold on January 24, 1848, just 1 month before Mexico lost California to the United States, a carpenter named James Marshall, he made an important discovery. While building a sawmill in northern California, first you should know what is sawmill. Sawmill is like a factory in which logs are cut. So while building a sawmill in northern California, James Marshall, he saw a shiny stone in a nearby American river. And he later said, excuse me, he later said that my eyes was caught by a glimpse of something shining, and it made my heart thump, for I felt certain it was gold. And it was indeed. So Marshall's discovery led to one of the greatest migrations in American history. And what is migration? Migration means that movement of person from one country or locality to another. So it was one of the greatest migration in American history, as thousands from all over the world poured into California to make their fortunes. So in 1849, people from all over California and the United States, they raced to the American river, starting the California Gold Rush. And a gold rush occurs when a large number of people move to the site where gold has been found. Now we will learn about the gold, who were those gold seekers. So about 2/3 of the 49ers were Americans, and most of these were white men. However, Native Americans free blacks and enslaved African Americans who also worked the mines. So here you should know that Native Americans, most of them were white men, but Native Americans, they free blacks but enslaved African Americans who also worked the mines. And thousands of experienced miners came from Sonora in Mexico. Other foreign miners came from Europe, South America, Australia, and China. So, but most of the Chinese miners were peasant farmers who fled hardship in China, and by the end of 1851, one of every 10 immigrants was Chinese. So the majority was Chinese. Then we have opportunities. Now you will see the opportunities and turmoil, like this migration towards westward of United States, what opportunities and turmoils they faced. So by 1849, California had enough people to apply for statehood, and it was admitted as a free state in 1850. So its constitution banned slavery. This is the most important thing, that this banned the slavery, but it did not grant African Americans the right to vote. For some people, California's statehood proved to be the opportunity of a lifetime. So an enslaved woman, here you will see an example that Nancy, he gained her freedom because of the law against slavery, and then she worked to buy the freedom of her children in Missouri. Eventually, the Nancy's family, he became so prosperous that they bought Sutter's sawmill. So she was the one whose family bought the Sutter's sawmill, and where James Marshall first found the gold that started California's gold rush. So Nancy's family were the one who bought the Sutter's sawmill, and in this mill, James Marshall found the gold, and that started California's gold rush. So the population explosion ruined many Californians, and the newcomers did not respect Californians or their legal rights. So this is the turmoil they faced, that they did not get the respect, and they did not respect their legal rights even. So in many cases, Americans seized their property, and Mariano Vilio lost all but 300 acres of his huge estate. So this was the drawback of this migration. And yet the Spanish heritage plays a prominent role in California culture today. Next we will learn about the Native Americans and the foreigners, and in this you will learn that what was the final impact of the gold rush on California. So you will see the impact now. Thousands of Native Americans died from diseases brought by the newcomers. Settlers killed thousands more. And the impact on the environment also affected Native Americans' use of the land. Rivers that had been their waterways and fishing sites were diverted and polluted. Hunting grounds were taken over by settlers. By 1870, California's Native American population had fallen from 150,000 to about 58,000. So this was the decrease in the population. Once the easy to find gold was gone, now the craze of gold was gone, American miners began to force Native Americans and miners such as Mexicans and Chinese out of the gold fields to reduce competition. So they asked them to leave. So this practice increased after California became a state in 1850. So when the California eventually became a state, so these things happened. And now after when you will see when now the California, when it became a state, what actions he took. One of the first acts of the California state legislature was to pass a foreign miner tax. So the first thing after becoming a state, that they pass a law that is foreign miner tax. This was the first thing, and that was more than most could, and it was too high, like which imposed a tax of $20 a month on miners from other countries. It was too high that was more than most could afford to pay. It was too high that the people of that time, they couldn't pay that. So as the tax collectors arrived in the camps, most foreigners left. And driven from the mines, the Chinese opened shops, restaurants and laundries. So when they were kicked out of that area, what they did, they opened shops, restaurants and laundries. So many Chinese owned businesses in San Francisco, that their neighborhood became known as Chinatown, as it still is today. So you will find in San Francisco the Chinatown, and this is a history about the Chinatown, that when they were driven from the mines, so they opened the restaurants and lounges, and so these Chinese and their neighborhood became known as Chinatown, and it is still today. Then at the end you have your task. Like always, the first thing you have to do, you have to read the whole lesson in great detail. Okay, so first you will read the whole lesson. After reading your lesson from your books, American history, you are going to attempt the assessment at the end of the lesson from your book. And then a few tasks, few questions I made it for you to do it on your notebook. That one, why did the gold rush come to an end? You have to write the reason. Then what was the final impact on the gold rush on California? You have to write the impact of gold rush on California, and then at the end you will write what led to the rapid settlement in California. So this is your task for today. So read your lesson, study hard, and take good care of yourself. See you again. Bye bye.